If you're still the one closing your own sales calls, let me be brutally honest with you. You are the bottleneck in your business, not the lead gen, not the market, not the marketing team, or your team as a whole. You. And the longer you stay stuck on these sales calls, the more money you're leaving on the table. So throughout this video, it's going to be my goal to you to explain why founders get stuck in this rut of staying on the sales calls and when it is a good decision to move out of that position and build a sales team so that they can handle the day-to-day for you. Now, most of the founders get stuck in this rut because you're closing deals, but the one thing that is not recognized or realized is that you're losing time as a founder, and time equals money, and we all know that. So most founders get stuck in this position of taking sales calls and never get out of it because they are generally decent closers, and 9 times out of 10, or 8 times out of 10 I should say, they are, or you are going to be a better closer than most salespeople you hire. And you know, there's a lot of theories behind that as to why that might be. In my experience, what I've seen is that obvious as a founder, your business is your baby. You know your business inside out. You know the market inside and out. You know your competitors inside and out. And more importantly, you actually care about your business, right? More than anybody else. And you know, sometimes there's this fallacy to think that, you know, we can hire somebody and pay them good money and they are going to care more about your business than you, which is completely and utterly false. Nobody is going to care more about your business than you. Not an employee you hire, not a 1099 contractor that you hire. You are the sole caregiver of your business, and you need to act that way as well. Now, the reason I'm saying all of this is because most founders, again, going back to them, are decent closers, and sometimes you are even going to be your best closer. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is that you are trading time for money. You have to be on that sales call in order to bring in money for your company. So if you want to leave on vacation for 2 weeks, guess what? Your revenue is going to stop completely, and this is not why you got into business for the first place. Otherwise, you would have gone to a corporate company and worked a casual 9 to 5, right? But I would like to think here, and most of the business founders or business owners as well that I have talked to personally, they got into this to build a business of their dreams so they can get the freedom that they want that corporate America does not allow. While if you're stuck on sales calls every single day, day in and day out, you are never going to escape that rut, and you are always going to be stuck right there in that position. Because why? Us as founders, we become, you know, or we have this mentality that we are the very best closer that the company's ever going to get. And that is true sometimes to an extent, but please remember, you are trading your time for money, and in order to scale beyond that, you need to remove yourself from that. Now, sure, right, as you scale, it is completely known, even in marketing with paid ads, same thing with the sales team. As you scale, your margins are going to slip. Why? Number one, you have to pay that sales guy, right? Number two, their closing percentage might not be as high as you. But the trade-off here is that you can remove yourself from that sales position to work on your business and not in your business, right? And the moment you make that transition, your business will explode, because now you're going to be working on the business in terms of, you know, bringing in leads, making sure the marketing team, you know, is doing their thing. But essentially, you're taking now a leadership position in your company, which is your job as a founder. You need to be a leader for your employees and contractors, right? That is so important, and a lot of founders now and again forget that. But anyway, going back to, you know, founders and how they get stuck in this rut is because they become the glorified sales business or person in their business, right? And guess what? Eventually, once you trade time for money, eventually you are going to burn out, and you are not going to want to be on sales calls anymore. You do not want to take 17 calls a day that say, I want to think about it, right? You want to delegate and have to delegate and learn how to delegate tasks in order to scale and grow your business, right? So this is what I like to call the founder-centric sales trap. So yes, your authority helps on the sales call and helps with the close, right? But here's the thing, it's not scalable. right? You will do very well by taking sales calls since you have that authoritarian figure on the call itself, right? But eventually you will not be able to scale beyond that. Why? Because there's only one of you, right? There's only a limited amount of time in a day that you can spend taking calls, right? So going back to that, it is not scalable, right? And again, going back to that again, you might have the highest closing percentage and probably will, but you'll be stuck at a certain level and will not be able to scale beyond that again. Why? Because you are trading time for money, which means if you're trading your time for money, you are working in the business and not on the business. And your goal as a founder, especially here at Sales Match, we allow founders to buy back their time. Hey guys, just a quick reminder, if you are sitting there and you're looking for, elite setters or closers to be plugged into your organization, but you don't know where to find them, that's exactly what we do here at Sales Match. So if you're interested in having us find salespeople on your behalf, click the link below, book a free consultation call. Let's see how we can work together and we'll take it from there. But right now, let's get back to the video. Eventually you subconsciously sabotage hiring reps, and not you specifically watching this, but most founders, and trust me, I have been there too plenty of times, way back when I first started with my first company, right? And we as founders like to always think and get into this mindset, and it's completely valid to a certain point, but we get in this mindset of they will never sell like me, right? I am the best salesperson, right? But that is the actual problem, right? So sure, when hiring salespeople, again, to go back to that, your margins may slip, but your trade-off is that you can scale your business and gain back your time. And at the end of the day, as founders, our goal is to put more money into our pocket at the end of the day, right? So getting outside of that rut versus, oh, I'm the best salesperson, maybe that is the case, right? And a lot of times that is egotistical to think that. But at the end of the day, if you can scale beyond that, guess what? Now you can have 2, 3, 4 salespeople because you are working on scaling your business, scaling the lead gen side of your business to feed the closers, right? Because that is vitally important when employing top 1% talent. They know their worth, they know the marketplace, right? And it is critically important that you provide them with the leads so that they can stay on as a closer, right? And close those deals and be happy. So again, the problem with that mindset of, I am the best closer is that you're always going to be stuck in that kind of rut, right? And again, don't get me wrong here. There is nothing wrong by taking sales calls for your business, with the exception of 2 points, right? The first exception is that your business is doing under $25,000 a month in revenue. At that point, sure, it's okay, right? If you have a high ticket offer, you can still take those sales calls on a day-to-day and run the operations, right? I am specifically talking to those folks and the business owners who want to scale way beyond that, right? Way beyond that level. Who wants to do, 6 figures a month, right? Or $1 million a month, right? Which is a lot of the people we work with and a lot of the founders I talk with are at that level. So it's important that you remove yourself from the business and work on your business, right? Now, the second part to, that 2-prong approach of when you should be taking calls as a founder, the first one is when you first get started. The second part is, as a founder, sometimes you have to jump back in the trenches, right? And I personally love doing this as well. Maybe a week out of the month, or a week every, 2 months, or even a week a quarter, really, depending on what stage you are in your business. Jump back in the trenches as a founder and take some sales calls, right? And the reason why I'm saying this is because you will shortly uncover there are certain things, right, where that tight feedback loop between you and the closers, or between the closers and the sales manager, is just not reaching the top, right? So if you basically think of a triangle, right, on the top of the triangle is you as the founder, under you is your sales manager, and then your closers, setters, and SDRs, right? There needs to be a tight feedback loop right to the top. Now and again, and this happens quite often, that feedback loop gets tainted, right? Meaning there's not a lot of information or a lot of information gets lost on the way to the top, right? So you as a founder jumping back in the trenches allows you to uncover maybe the systems aren't working as good as that you thought. Maybe there's some objections coming your way that are newer objections, right? That you just haven't uncovered and the closers haven't brought that to your attention. So the point of all of this is sometimes it's good as a founder to jump back in the trenches, not only to uncover, or to make sure that your systems are working correctly, everything is running as it should, but also more importantly, you are acting as a leader. And that is so crucially important that you show your strength through actions, right? Meaning, go take sales calls, right? If you have a great closing percentage, which you should because you have that authoritarian figure, which the closers do not have, your closing percentage should be higher than your actual salespeople, right? Or if you're a sales manager watching this, I am talking to you as well. Get back in the trenches now and again and show them how it's done. This will boost morale like you've never seen before. And in addition, you will gain so much respect out of your sales team, right? So that is very, very important. Now, let's move on to the question here as to at what point in time do you have to disconnect yourself and get out of those sales calls, right? And in my opinion, there is no, magic number here, but where I have seen, this work specifically, and this is also the level of our qualification to work with you as a business owner, is you have to be doing at least $25,000 a month in revenue, right? At that point, right, you must have, right, a proven offer. Your lead flow must be good. Your client acquisition, right, which is the same thing as lead flow, must be consistent, right? And your marketing must be dialed in. Why do I say this? Because number one, if those things aren't dialed in and you hire a top 1% closer, you're not going to be able to retain that talent, right? So it's very important that once you're at that level of $25,000 a month in revenue, you have a proven offer, you have proven client acquisition channels, and you know that if you take your time that you are spending on sales calls right now and put that towards lead generation, right? You can hire top 1% closer and scale it to 50K, 100K a month, right? Even $1 million a month, right? It just depends on your offer. Now, again, your real job as the founder, number one, besides being a leader for your company, is optimizing systems, right? Scaling acquisition, right? And hiring leaders eventually so you can fully disconnect yourself, from the business itself, which is the goal here, to remove your time, right? So again, why founders, or let me phrase this a little bit differently here. Why do founders wait so long to hire closers, right? Well, there's a couple different things here, and I'm sure you're thinking about it. I've gone through this personally, right? Number one is the fear of delegation. We do things better than everybody else. That is every founder, or a lot of founders' mindset there, which is flawed, right? You need to be able to hire people that are way better than you to step into your business to tell you how it's done. You need to, when you hire salespeople, and especially top 1% talent, doesn't matter what position this is in your company, whether it's a seller, SDR, closer, a marketer, they need to have way more knowledge than you. If they do not, that is not a good hire. And essentially, when you hire people, you tell them the job that needs to get done, you have them go out and figure out how it's done, and then write up those SOPs, and then you compare and contrast the two systems, the one that you design and the one that they are bringing to the table, and ultimately figure out which is best for your business, right? Now, the other, fear that we talked about, why founders wait so long to hire closers, is, again, no one can sell like me, right? We've covered that. It is a flawed perception. Now, the final kind of point here that I've talked to founders about is, why they don't want to go hire closers is, number one, they do not know where to find top reps, right? They're tired of spinning their wheels on, for lack of a better term, crappy closers, right? That just come in, underperform, waste leads, kill the company morale or the sales team morale and culture, and then leave, right? You do not want to get into this endless spinning rut, which a lot of the founders that I talk to and work with there is, they're in this rut of, I do not know when to find top reps. So when I hire people, right, they're here for a couple of months and then they leave. And then I have to go back and spend countless hours and weeks finding top talent, recruiting top talent, interviewing top talent, and then finally placing them, right? So it's this endless spin, right? So again, hiring bad reps just reinforces the fear of opportunity cost, which is true. One bad hire can literally cost you tens of thousands of dollars, right? And that is why, we we solve this entire problem for founders here at SalesMatch, right? So what we do here at SalesMatch is we source the very best sales talent and place them inside businesses that need remote high-ticket salespeople such as closers, setters, and SDRs. We don't just dump and randomly dump, talent into businesses. We actually find the top talent, that have been in remote closing positions, right? And we evaluate things such as their tech stack, right? How are they, with CRM platforms? How are they with, platforms such as DocuSign, Slack, and so on and so forth? And also, how are they presenting themselves on camera? Number one, do they have, a camera that looks good? Do they have a background that looks, somewhat professional? Do they have good lighting? Do they have good mics, right? Because at the end of the day, as a remote closer, you are representing the company, right? So we want to make sure that the reps we place, they do have, tech stack knowledge, their technology in terms of, cameras, lighting, mics, and so on and so forth, background looks sharp to represent your company, right? So those are some things that we do here at, SalesMatch. We also provide and make, training available to our, to our closers, setters, and SDRs to handle things such as objection handling, frame control, and also we also make available to them the SalesMatch winner framework, right? Hey guys, quick reminder, if you're sitting there watching this and you're wondering, well, where the heck can I get sales talent and elite sales talent from? We here at SalesMatch will do the vetting for you. We'll call ex-bosses, we'll do mock call interviews, we'll do all of that on your behalf, and then you get to pick the cream of the crop finalist. So if you're in need of a setter or an elite closer, click the link down below, schedule a free consultative call. Let's see if we can help you. But other than that, let's get right back to the video.